Do you feel like you don't speak enough Greek? That you need to know more words? Then stick around. With these lessons, you'll pick up some of the most common words in just a few minutes. Now, this video is a small portion of our learning program. To get the full lessons, translations, and Fluency Fast study tools, click the link in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account. Hi everyone, welcome to the Ultimate Greek Pronunciation Guide. In this lesson, you'll learn the top 5 Greek pronunciation mistakes to avoid. These are common mistakes that Greek learners make, so pay close attention and make sure that you don't make these same mistakes too. Are you ready? Then let's get started. Unlike English, Greek has only 5 vowel sounds.
A, E, I, O, U.
The most common vowel sound in the English language is the schwa, which sounds like the A in the word about. This is the most neutral and the easiest vowel sound you can make because it requires the least amount of effort to produce. In rapid speech, many of the vowel sounds in English are often reduced to this easy-to-pronounce schwa sound. In Greek, however, there is no such schwa sound. All of the 5 vowel sounds are distinct. So if you don't pronounce them clearly, there's a high chance that you'll end up mispronouncing these vowels altogether. The only way to correct this problem is to practice pronouncing the 5 Greek vowel sounds cleanly and limiting yourself to using just these 5 vowel sounds and nothing in between. But don't worry, we'll cover all 5 Greek vowel sounds in the next lesson. Learners often mispronounce this letter as a G or an H, and oftentimes make it sound too throaty. This letter is tricky because the pronunciation changes depending on the surrounding vowels. When it precedes an I or an E vowel, it's pronounced very much like an English Y sound. For example,
Γη, γένος.
When it precedes an A, O, or U, however, it's pronounced like a loosely held G sound.
Γάτα, γόβα, γούνα.
Try to listen to as many native pronunciations of this letter as you can, and of course, make sure to practice pronouncing and memorizing all of the variations. We'll take an in-depth look at all of these sounds in Lesson 4. Although these are familiar sounds to English speakers, the th and the sounds often get mixed up. This is mainly a recognition issue, as both of these letters look similar in lowercase form and both are dental consonants. You need to learn to recognize and pronounce the right consonant at the right time through practice, otherwise you'll be easily misunderstood. Greek learners also commonly mispronounce the th sound as a D sound. This is likely due to the fact that many loanwords in English have their roots in Greek and were rendered as a D sound instead of as a th sound. Just remember that this letter is never pronounced as a D in Greek. It's always pronounced as a th sound. We'll take an in-depth look at these sounds in Lesson 4. This mistake is apparent. Both of these Greek letters look very similar to the English letters P and X. However, the way you read them in Greek is totally different. Listen to Stefania pronounce this letter by itself and then in a few words.
R, άρια, τρίζω, πρόβα. Χαρά, χορός, χούφτα.
Reading Greek texts out loud can help you pick up mistakes and make corrections when you misread these letters. We'll take an in-depth look at all of these sounds in Lesson 4. Accents can be daunting for many Greek learners because they seem very foreign. This is especially true if your language doesn't contain any of them. However, they're nothing to be afraid of, as Greek primarily uses just one accent. Furthermore, its usage is very simple. This accent just indicates that you need to stress the syllable. That's it.
Κάλος, καλός. Νόμος, νομός. Θέα, θεά.
Notice how the accented syllables are emphasized? It's pronounced a little bit louder and longer than the surrounding syllables. And that's all there is to it. Wasn't that easy? We'll take an in-depth look at accentuation in Greek in Lesson 6. Now you know the top 5 Greek pronunciation mistakes to avoid. Try to be careful so that you don't make these same mistakes. Still feel a bit worried? Over the rest of this series, we'll cover all of these topics in depth. In the next lesson, we'll start learning vowel sounds in Greek. Have you been guilty of any of these 5 mistakes? Have you learned any tricks to deal with them? Let us know in the comments and share them with other students like you. Stick with us and you'll overcome these quickly. See you in the next Ultimate Greek Pronunciation Guide lesson.
Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphavito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphavito. In the last 3 lessons, we covered 6 letters: alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, and omicron, which I'm sure you remember very well since they are almost identical to the English A, M, T, I, K, and O. So this time I thought we could try something a little more challenging. How about 2 letters unique to Greek in appearance? It might sound difficult, but I think you can manage. Our first letter is the consonant P. It sounds exactly the same as the English letter P, but it's written in a different way. Let's have a look at it. Here is what the uppercase P looks like. It is handwritten like this: P. And this is how the lowercase p looks like. It's almost the same as the uppercase P, but you notice that the horizontal line is a little longer. It is handwritten like this: P. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. For anyone who has done math, the lowercase p will seem immediately familiar since it's the famous impossibly long number starting with 3.14. Most English speakers call it pi, but now you know its real name is p. It comes from the first letter of the Greek word peripheria, meaning the circumference of a circle. But enough with math! You're here to learn how to write Greek, right? So let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. It's another consonant, but very important to the writing of the Greek language. In English, it's often called sigma, but in Greek, it's sigma and makes a s sound. Interestingly enough, this letter has 3 forms, 1 in uppercase and 2 in lowercase. It's the only letter with this peculiarity, and this happens because it is often used as a final letter in Greek, which is when you use the third shape. This is what the uppercase sigma looks like. It is handwritten like this: sigma. And here's the lowercase sigma. It's like an omicron, but with a small line protruding to the right. It is handwritten like this: sigma. And this is what the ending sigma looks like. It is similar to the English S, isn't it? It is handwritten like this: sigma. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. Here's the lowercase form. And here's the ending sigma. Now let's see what we can do with the letters we have learned so far. In our first lesson, we used mi and alpha to write mama, or mom, right? So how about we write the Greek word for dad? With the letters from this lesson, we have everything we need. The word is babas. Let's write it. Babas. If you notice that mi and p together actually sound like b, you were right. In Greek, we don't have a separate letter for the sound b, so we form it using mi and p. This is a little bit complicated, but we'll go over it in detail in the last lesson of this series, which is all about double consonants. Don't worry, if you learn the single letters, double ones won't be a problem, I promise. Is there something more simple we can write with these letters? Well, there is. Actually, something very useful. How about the word poto, meaning drink, as in πάμε για ένα ποτό, or let's go for a drink. Here it is, poto, and it's handwritten like this. Poto. Okay, you've made it through 4 lessons. Let's have a look at all the letters we have learned. Alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, and sigma. Not bad, huh? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. An alphabet has many letters, but not all letters are created equal. The letters you've learned so far are the most commonly used in Greek. So even though you only know a third of the letters, you'll be able to read a lot more than a third of Greek texts. The ending sigma, in particular, pops up a lot. Try this. Print some text from a Greek website and mark all the ending sigmas red. How many did you count in one page? Up until now, we've seen familiar letters. Are you ready for an exotic-looking one? There is a letter resembling the symbol of the legendary Greek god of the sea, Poseidon. Care to see how it looks? Check out our next Alphavito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά!
Now, if you're wondering how to remember these words forever so that you can start speaking more and more, here's how. 1. Review them with our spaced repetition flashcards. Our flashcards will drill these words into your long-term memory. 2. Save the words to our word bank, your personal collection of words, where you can print out physical study sheets. And 3. Watch our looped vocabulary slideshows on repeat until you understand every word. You'll find these tools inside our learning program. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Greek. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Greek pronunciation. Pronunciation refers to the manner in which a word is spoken, so don't focus on reading what's on screen. Instead, focus on listening and repeating. One of the aspects of a language is rhythm. Modern Greek is a mixed rhythm language with characteristics varying between those of syllable-timed and stress-timed languages. In syllable-timed languages, all syllables have equal duration, while in stress-timed languages, like English, some syllables are longer and some are shorter. Spanish. Spanish.
Now let's hear a Greek word. Όμορφος. Όμορφος.
Another aspect of a language is intonation. Did you notice the accent mark above the first letter? There is only one type of accent mark in modern Greek, the acute accent. It adds stress to a syllable. A stressed syllable usually lasts longer and has a slightly higher pitch than the rest. Other than pitch accents, there is no pitch system in Greek, like in Chinese, for example, where different tones define the meaning of words. Let's listen to that again.
Όμορφος. Όμορφος.
There's a golden rule in Greek concerning accents. The accent mark can only go on one of the 3 last syllables of a word. Let's see this in a longer word.
Ομορφόπεδο. Ομορφόπεδο.
This word, as well as the previous one, share the same root. However, the accent mark had to be moved over to a different syllable in order to comply with our accentuation golden rule. By the way, did you notice that although this word is longer than the previous one, it feels as if the syllables are pronounced faster?
Όμορφος. Ομορφόπεδο.
In general, you need to keep in mind that the duration of any syllable depends on whether the syllable is stressed and on the length of the word. Additionally, an unstressed syllable may have a different duration depending on its position relative to the stressed syllable. For example, in the second word, pre-stressed syllables take slightly longer to be pronounced than the post-stressed ones.
Imagine this rhythm is a roller coaster ride. The pre-stressed syllables are like going up to the highest point slowly. The stressed syllable is like waiting at the top for a while. And then the post-stressed syllables are like the very fast fall. Of course, while Greeks speak, these duration differences between syllables are very small and hard to notice. Ομορφόπεδο. Ομορφόπεδο.
Greek is considered a fast-spoken language. Laboratory experiments have shown that a Greek speaker pronounces more syllables per second than an English speaker. There are 5 vowel sounds in Greek that are represented by 7 letters and 4 double vowel combinations.
A, E, I, O, U.
It's really that simple. The vowel sounds in Greek are exactly the same as the vowel sounds in English.
A, E, I, O, U.
Okay, let's move on. There are 34 consonant sounds in Greek that are represented by 17 letters and 6 double consonant combinations. Let's hear them.
V, G, Y, V, Z, F, K, K, L, Y, M, N, N, X, P, R, R, S, T, F, H, Ps, G, Ng, Ng, B, B, P, D, D, T, T, Z.
In the previous lesson, you learned that around 25 to 30% of English words come from Greek, either directly or indirectly, which is quite a lot. But did you also know that apart from the Greek vowels, which are very easy to pronounce, out of the 34 consonant sounds in Greek, you already know 26 of them? That means that if you were to simply imitate a Greek speaker, your pronunciation would be correct most of the time. For example, listen and repeat after Chrissy.
Παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ.
Chances are your pronunciation was pretty spot on. The P, R, K, and L sounds are practically identical to English. Don't forget that words get accentuated in Greek, so make sure to stress that final syllable with the accent mark. Repeat after Chrissy.
Παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ.
Since most sounds in Greek are identical to English, you only need to pay attention to the few sounds that are completely new to you. There are only 8 unique Greek consonant sounds that you need to learn to perfect your Greek pronunciation. One of these sounds can be heard in the following word.
Συγγνώμη.
This word is often romanized like this.
Συγγνώμη.
This character isn't pronounced using an English G sound at all.
Γ.
It's like a very soft, continuous, and loosely held G, almost as if you're gargling, but don't make it sound too throaty.
Γ.
There's no such sound in English, but most people would transcribe this using the letter G, because that's the closest equivalent in English. Pronouncing it like an English G, however, would be a huge mistake. To get that sound right, your tongue and the back part of your mouth should be barely separated from each other while you blow a steady stream of air between the small separation. Another approach is to try to pronounce a G as if an H sound were to follow after it and hold that sound while you exhale. The after sound created by that H is what you're looking for. Listen as Chrissy demonstrates. Repeat after her.
Συγγνώμη. Συγγνώμη.
Well done. Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that the rhythm of the Greek language is mixed and follows a fast tempo. The accentuation can only go on one of the 3 last syllables. A stressed syllable sounds longer, but the longer the word, the shorter the syllables are pronounced. Pre-stressed syllables are generally longer than post-stressed syllables. Collectively, nearly all the sounds in Greek are identical to the sounds in English. And finally, there are only 8 new sounds that you need to learn. We've covered only the basics of Greek pronunciation. If you're interested in learning more, check out the entire course we created named The Ultimate Guide to Greek Pronunciation. In that course, we cover and break down every single sound in the Greek language, showing you mouth and tongue positioning and giving you tips to help you perfect your Greek pronunciation. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Greek grammar, where you'll learn about Greek word order and how to build basic phrases in Greek. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Γεια χαρά! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last 2 lessons, we learned how to count in Greek from 1 to 100. I hope you spend some time practicing the numbers because they will come in handy in this lesson. Why? Because we will learn how to go shopping in Greece. Before we go, you need to know how to say how much is it. Πόσο κάνει? Πόσο κάνει? Are you ready to go shopping in Greece? Let's go! You see something you like and want to ask the shopkeeper how much it costs. The first thing to say is παρακαλώ. Do you remember what that means? It means please, usually, but in this situation it means excuse me. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό? The word αυτό we use in this phrase means it or this. We don't actually say the name of the object. If we want to be more specific, we must know if the object is feminine, masculine, or neuter, convert the word αυτό accordingly, and add the object itself. Let's say we are asking about a hat or a καπέλο. In Greek, a hat is neuter, so we will use the phrase αυτό το καπέλο. Let's try it. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό το καπέλο? Excuse me, how much is this hat? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό το καπέλο? And skirt is a feminine noun. Φούστα. Let's try that too. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτή η φούστα? Excuse me, how much is this skirt? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτή η φούστα? Finally, let's also try a masculine noun, like a lighter, αναπτήρας. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτός ο αναπτήρας? Excuse me, how much is this lighter? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτός ο αναπτήρας? At this point, the shopkeeper will answer by saying the price like 15 ευρώ or 20 ευρώ. The word ευρώ means, of course, euro, and as for the number, you already know that, don't you? In case you have forgotten, 15 means 15, and 20 means 20. Now it's time for Chrissy's insides. Even though it is not very polite, the fastest way to ask how much something costs is by saying the word αυτό, meaning it, and adding the word πόσο, meaning how much, like this, αυτό πόσο. In this case, even though you're using the neuter it, αυτό, you can also use it with masculine and feminine nouns. If you don't know the object's gender or you are in a hurry, you can do this. Greeks do it all the time. At this point, can you count euros in Greek? We are going to learn how to do this in the next lesson. After that, you'll have no excuse for not going out on a shopping spree in Greece. I'll be waiting for you in our next ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα.
everybody! This is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In our previous 2 lessons, we covered 4 letters: alpha, mi, taf, and iota. Have you been practicing them? Today we'll learn 2 more. After this, we will have covered a quarter of the Greek alphabet. So let's go! Our first letter this time is again a consonant, kappa. Its sound is k, and it looks like this. Here's an uppercase kappa. Yes, it's the same as the English K. It is handwritten like this, kappa. And this is what the lowercase kappa looks like. Like taf, it's easier than the lowercase English K since it's an uppercase K, but smaller. It is handwritten like this, kappa. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel called omicron, which makes the sound O. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English O, both in uppercase and lowercase. This is what the uppercase omicron looks like, exactly the same as the English O. It is handwritten like this, omicron. And this is what the lowercase omicron looks like. Nothing to remember, right? It is handwritten like this, omicron. Let's do that again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Is there something we could do with just kappa and omicron? Not much besides the all too familiar OK. Yes, Greeks use that too, especially in internet communication. You just write the 2 letters together as you would in English, and also like English, it's better to write them in uppercase. Let's write it together, shall we? OK. OK is, well, OK. But let's try a word that uses letters from all the past lessons. Kati, which means something. For example, in the sentence θέλω να φάω κάτι, meaning I want to eat something. Let's write this word together. Kati. Another word also useful in everyday communication is the word komati, meaning piece, as in θέλω ένα κομμάτι πίτα. I want a piece of pie. Let's write komati using all the letters we have learned by now. Komati. As you can see, in komati, the mi is doubled. This happens for grammatical reasons we explain in our language lessons on GreekPod101.com. You have been studying them too, right? So let's see all the letters we have learned so far. Alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, and omicron. Not that hard, are they? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You may have noticed that the letters up to this point are not that hard since variations of them appear in the English alphabet. But please remember that the small differences are important. Even though most Greeks will understand a lowercase kappa written just like a lowercase English K, the correct way to write it is with a shorter vertical line. Don't neglect this detail. It will make your Greek writing much more natural. Before I leave you, here's a question. What is the world's longest number? Everybody knows it by its Greek name, which isn't the name of a dessert. Got it? Check out our next lesson and learn what I'm talking about. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά!
Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory.
save them to the Word Bank, your personal vocabulary collection where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools.
In this video, you'll learn 20 of the most common words and phrases in Greek. Hi everybody, my name is Stefania. Welcome to the 800 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. This series will teach you the 800 most common words and phrases in Greek. But there's a twist. With each new lesson in this series, we'll include the previous lessons at the end. So after you've learned the new words and phrases, stick around and review what you learned in previous lessons. Reviewing is one of the most important parts of learning a language. You can also get the full list right now at GreekPod101.com. Click the link in the description to access more example sentences, create your own flashcard deck, and finally master Greek. Okay, let's get started. First is ya. Hello. Ya. Ya. Hello. Γεια σας. Τι κάνετε? Hello. How are you? Γεια σας. Τι κάνετε? Συγγνώμη. Excuse me. Συγγνώμη. Συγγνώμη. Excuse me. Συγγνώμη, κάθεστε στη θέση μου. Excuse me, you are sitting on my seat. Συγγνώμη, κάθεστε στη θέση μου. Συγγνώμη. I'm sorry. Συγγνώμη. Συγγνώμη. I'm sorry. Συγγνώμη, δεν το ήθελα. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Συγγνώμη, δεν το ήθελα. Καληνύχτα. Good night. Καληνύχτα. Καληνύχτα. Good night. Καληνύχτα και σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Good night and thank you very much. Καληνύχτα και σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Χαίρο πολύ. Nice to meet you. Χαίρο πολύ. Χαίρο πολύ. Nice to meet you. Με λένε Γιάννη. Χαίρο πολύ. My name is John. Nice to meet you. Με λένε Γιάννη. Χαίρο πολύ. Τι κάνεις? How are you? Τι κάνεις? Τι κάνεις? How are you? Γεια σου Μαρία, τι κάνεις? Hello Maria, how are you? Γεια σου Μαρία, τι κάνεις? Ναι. Yes. Ναι. Ναι. Yes. Ναι, σωστό είναι. Yes, that's correct. Ναι, σωστό είναι. Όχι. No. Όχι. Όχι. No. Όχι, δεν το θέλω. No, I don't want it. Όχι. Δεν το θέλω. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you. Κατάλαβα. Ευχαριστώ. I understood. Thank you. Κατάλαβα. Ευχαριστώ. Είμαι. I am. Είμαι. Είμαι. I am. Είμαι η Λίζα. I am Lisa. Είμαι η Λίζα. Αντίο. Goodbye. Αντίο. Αντίο. Goodbye. Λίγο πριν χωριστούν, της είπε αντίο. Just before separating, he said goodbye to her. Λίγο πριν χωρίστουν, της είπε αντίο. Κακός. Bad. Κακός. Κακός. Bad. Αυτός ο άντρας είναι κακός. This man is bad. Αυτός ο
άντρας είναι κακός. Καλός. Good. Καλός. Καλός. Good. Έχει καλό καιρό σήμερα. The weather is good today. Έχει καλό καιρό σήμερα. Όμορφος. Pretty. Όμορφος. Όμορφος. Pretty. Είσαι πολύ όμορφος. You are very pretty. Είσαι πολύ όμορφος. Άσχημος. Ugly. Άσχημος. Άσχημος. Ugly. Αυτός είναι ένας πολύ άσχημος σκύλος. That is a very ugly dog. Αυτός είναι ένας πολύ άσχημος σκύλος. Εύκολος. Easy. Εύκολος. Εύκολος. Easy. Ο χασαποσέρβικος είναι ένας εύκολος ελληνικός χορός. The χασαποσέρβικος is an easy Greek dance. Ο χασαποσέρβικος είναι ένας εύκολος ελληνικός χορός. Δύσκολος. Difficult. Δύσκολος. Δύσκολος. Difficult. Τα αγγλικά είναι δύσκολα. English is difficult. Τα αγγλικά είναι δύσκολα. Κοντινός. Nearby. Κοντινός. Κοντινός. Nearby. Πήγε στο κοντινό φαρμακείο. He went to the nearby pharmacy. Πήγε στο κοντινό φαρμακείο. Μακρινός. Far away. Μακρινός. Μακρινός. Far away. Βρίσκεται σε ένα μακρινό μέρος. She's in a far away place. Βρίσκεται σε ένα μακρινό μέρος. Μικρός. Small. Μικρός. Μικρός. Small. Αυτό το pullover είναι πολύ μικρό. This sweater's too small. Αυτό το pullover είναι πολύ μικρό. Well done! In this lesson, you expanded your vocabulary and learned 20 new useful words. Click the link in the description and sign up for free at GreekPod101.com to get access to the full list of vocabulary you need for daily life conversations. You'll also get example sentences, custom flashcard decks, and more learning resources. See you next time! Γεια χαρά!
Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphavito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alphavito. In our previous lesson, we learned two letters, alpha and mi. Remember them? Good! In this lesson, we'll move on to two more letters, see how they are written, and what we can do with them. Our first letter this time is taf. It's a consonant, and its sound is t. You may have heard it called tau, which is its usual name in English. I'm sure its uppercase form will seem very familiar since it's the same as the English T. This is what taf looks like in uppercase and lowercase. Taf. Taf. Here is taf in uppercase. You should already be an expert at this shape. It is handwritten like this. Taf. And this is what the lowercase taf looks like when it's printed. I think it's easier than the lowercase t in English since it's just an uppercase T, but smaller. When it is handwritten, the shape looks a little different, like this. Taf. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? I'm sure you already knew how to write this, didn't you? Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel that you may have heard called iota. In Greek, though, it is called iota, and it makes the sound E. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English I. This is what the uppercase iota looks like. As I said before, it's exactly the same as the English I. It is handwritten like this. Iota. And this is what the lowercase iota looks like. Iota. Notice how the bottom curves slightly when it's handwritten. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. All these were pretty easy, weren't they? Let's see what we can do with them. By themselves, taf and iota spell only one word in Greek, ti. Even though it's a very small word, it's very important and used all the time in Greek because it means what. For example, the first word in the question, τι ώρα είναι, which means what time is it? Other examples of its use are τι θα φάμε or what will we eat? This word is also used in τι κάνεις, which means how are you? So let's write this very important two-letter word, τι. Since these were super easy, let's try something using all four letters we know. Do you remember the first two? They were alpha and mi, right? Let's say them once again. And if we put these two together with taf and iota, what do we have? Mati, which means eye. Easy, huh? And if we add another alpha in the end, we get matya, which is the plural of eye, eyes. Let's write this together. Matya. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. As we said in our previous lesson, the best way to master the alphabito, the Greek alphabet, is by writing it as much as you can. So please don't neglect this. Another great help would be to start trying to recognize the letters you've learned so far in Greek texts. If you can't find any text, you can always check out the transcripts on GreekPod101.com's advanced audio blog lessons. Don't worry if you can't understand the words yet, you will be able to practice recognizing the letters you learn in here. That's it for this lesson. Do you know how to write OK in Greek? Check our next lesson and see for yourselves. It won't be difficult. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά!
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word συγγνώμη, which means excuse me in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use συγγνώμη and other words when apologizing in Greek. We should use συγγνώμη in formal situations such as when we are ordering something in bars or restaurants. For example, συγγνώμη, ένα καφέ παρακαλώ. Excuse me, a coffee please. We can also use it when asking a question. συγγνώμη, πού είναι η Ακρόπολη? Excuse me, where is the Acropolis? Sometimes we also hear people say παρακαλώ, which literally means please or I beg, but means the same thing as συγγνώμη when you want to draw somebody's attention. We always use this phrase in formal speech. Παρακαλώ. The informal way to say excuse me is με συγχωρείτε. Με συγχωρείτε. Just like συγγνώμη, we can use με συγχωρείτε when asking a question or when apologizing. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is λυπάμαι. It means I'm sorry or I'm sad and can be used in both formal and informal situations. Λυπάμαι. Like in other cases we have seen, the verb λυπάμαι, I'm sad or I'm sorry, is used without the personal pronoun εγώ, I. By just saying the verb, the listener understands you are talking about yourself. Now it's time for Christy's insights. Please remember that in Greece, if you accidentally bump into someone, you don't say, I'm sorry, λυπάμαι. Instead, we say συγγνώμη, excuse me, or με συγχωρείτε, forgive me. Are you able to count in Greek? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Greek from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 10. Have you forgotten? Here, I'll tell you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now let's continue from 11. 11. 11. 12. 12. 13. 13. 14. 14. 15. 15. 16. 16. 17. 17. 18. 18. 19. 19. And finally, we have 20. 20. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. These numbers may seem harder to remember, but you really just have to memorize 11, 12, and 20. All other numbers are a combination of 10, which means 10, and the numbers from 3 to 9. It's like saying 10-3, 10-4, etc. Let's not stop at 20. Counting to 100 is super easy. Now I'll give you the tens. 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100, 100. You'll have to memorize these numbers, but the good news is creating compound numbers is very easy. They are formed by putting the tens in front of the single digits. This means, for example, that 34
is 34 and 87 is 87. Yes, that's right. Exactly like English. Let's try those combinations. 34 34 87 87. Got it? I told you it was really easy. Now it's time for Chrissy's Insights. The pronunciation we have used in this and the previous lesson is a standard pronunciation for numbers. Sometimes, though, especially in casual conversation, Greeks also use efta instead of epta, ochto instead of okto, and enea instead of enea. So if you notice someone using these words, don't be surprised. They're exactly the same as the ones you have learned. Actually, yours are more correct. After only 2 lessons, you are now able to count to 100 in Greek. Isn't that great? So let's go to the next lesson and see how we can use these numbers in their natural environment. That is, shopping. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In our previous lessons, we covered 8 letters of the Greek alphabet. Do you remember them? They were alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, and sigma, right? Some of these letters were very familiar to English speakers, and a couple of them were new. I'm sure that you didn't have any problem remembering and writing them, so in this lesson we will learn 2 more, one very familiar and one rather exotic. Our first letter is a vowel, ita, which makes an E sound. Like I said before, the writing will look familiar, at least in the uppercase form, since it's the same as the English H. The uppercase ita is handwritten like this. Ita. And this is what the lowercase ita looks like. It kind of looks like a lowercase h, but with the vertical line shortened. It is handwritten like this. Ita. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. This character is pretty easy, since the similarities to the English H are big, aren't they? So let's step up the difficulty with our second letter, the strange-looking psi. You may have heard it in English called psi. There is no corresponding sound in English. It makes a ps sound, like P and S said at the same time. Here's the uppercase psi. It looks like the trident, the symbol of the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon, doesn't it? If you ever forget how to pronounce this letter, just remember, psi is for Poseidon and his trident. It is handwritten like this. Psi. And this is what the lowercase psi looks like. It's the same as the uppercase psi, but written lower on the line with the vertical line going below it. It is handwritten like this. Psi. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? It's not so hard, right? You just write something like a U and then add a vertical line. We now know 10 letters. That's almost half of the Greek alphabet, and the possibilities for new words increase exponentially with each new letter. Let's try our hand in 3 new words, all using the exotic psi. Let's have a look at them. The first is psito, meaning roast, as in ψητοκρέας or roast meat. Let's write this together. Ψητό. Not that hard, is it? And speaking of ψητό or roast, what do you need to put it in the oven? A ταψί or pan. Let's write this one. Ταψί. Do you feel up for something a little more complicated? How about the word elegant? In Greek, this is komψός. And even though writing it isn't that hard, saying it is a little tricky, since you have to combine the m and the ps sounds. For the moment though, let's concentrate on the writing part. Komψός. One grammatical note. Komψός is masculine, so you can use it only for masculine nouns. For feminine nouns, it would be komψή, while for neutral nouns, komψό. Let's do a brief recap of everything we learned so far. We have alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, and psi. Okay? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You might have noticed that this lesson's eta sounds exactly like the iota we learned in lesson 2. Why is that? Well, it has to do with the complicated history of eta. At first, it is generally believed to be pronounced like a long version of epsilon and sounded like e. After the classical period, however, its sound started to change and merged with iota, as did another letter. Trust me, you don't want me to go on. Just learn them as E, like all Greeks, and you'll be perfectly fine. So, do you want to learn how to write the name of our home planet? In this lesson, you learn how to write half of it. In our next Alphabito Made Easy lesson, you will learn the other half. Don't miss it. Γεια χαρά!
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Είστε έτοιμοι? Are you ready? Ξεκινάμε, so let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word, ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ means thanks. When saying thanks very much, you just need to add πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Πολύ means a lot, so ευχαριστώ πολύ is like saying thanks very much. During the last lesson, we talked about both the informal and the formal way of speaking Greek. Ευχαριστώ is a casual way to thank someone. If you want to be more formal, there is another phrase you should use. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Let's break this phrase down. The σε or σας before ευχαριστώ πολύ literally means you in the second person singular and the second person plural, which is the form used for being formal in Greek. In the plain ευχαριστώ there is no you included, but here we use it and make the phrase sound more polite. Depending on the formality of the situation, we will use σε or σας. How do you answer? It's easy. There are basically two different ways to do it. The first is τίποτα. Τίποτα. Τίποτα literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. The other way to say you're welcome is the expression παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ. Literally, this phrase means I beg or please, but it has become a common and polite way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone says ευχαριστώ to you, we can simply reply with τίποτα or παρακαλώ. Now it's time for Chris's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use ευχαριστώ or σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Ευχαριστώ can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. Do you know what addio means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and other greetings in Greek. Addio και ευχαριστώ. Ραντεβού στο επόμενο μάθημα. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Hi, I'm Chrissy. Pleased to meet you. In this series, we are going to learn basic Greek expressions. It is super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to introduce yourself in Greek. There are only 2 sentences you need to do it. But first, it is important to clarify that in Greek, there is a difference between formal and informal language. Let's first see how Greek people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Hi, I'm Chrissy. Pleased to meet you. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Start by saying γεια, λέγομαι, then say your name. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Finally, say χαίρομαι πολύ. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. And now, let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. Hello, my name is Chrissy Papadopoulou. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. So what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at this together. Ya has been substituted with the formal greeting χαίρετε, Greek for rejoice. Λέγομαι Χρυσή has not been changed. Λέγομαι stands in both cases for my name is. However, during a formal self-introduction, we also say our last name. So I said Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Here, you would say your full name. Finally, there is one more change to the ending. We added the words για τη γνωριμία to the phrase χαίρομαι πολύ. In informal cases, we can just say χαίρομαι πολύ, literally, I'm happy or pleased. But in formal cases, it's good to add για τη γνωριμία, which is Greek for the acquaintance, or in this case, your acquaintance. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Greek is γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή, χαίρομαι πολύ. The formal way to introduce yourself is χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου, χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. Now it's time for Chris's insights. Greek people usually shake hands when they meet someone, sometimes extremely vigorously. So accompany your introduction with your best firm handshake. And if you're not sure if you have to use the formal or the informal greeting, the informal greeting χαίρομαι πολύ is not considered rude. It is acceptable and used widely even in formal situations. Do you know how we say thank you in Greek? You'll learn how to say this and many other words in the next lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. See you then! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Greek. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you are asking it in Greek, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here is the informal way to say it. Μιλάς αγγλικά. Μιλάς αγγλικά. Μιλάς is to speak, and αγγλικά is English. In Greek, verbs change depending on who the subject is. The word μιλάς is conjugated from the verb μιλάω, which means to speak. By the ending s, we understand this is the second person singular. This is the informal way to say you speak. You will notice that the personal pronoun itself, the word you, is missing. This happens very often in Greek. Because the verb ending changes depending on the subject, you don't need to actually say the subject in order to be understood. To learn how to properly conjugate omega verbs like μιλάω, please look at our Absolute Beginner series on GreekPod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. We are now going to make this sentence formal. This is done by using the formal version of you, which is εσείς. If we change the word for you, we will conjugate μιλάω differently. It becomes μιλάτε. Everything else stays the same. Μιλάτε αγγλικά. Μιλάτε αγγλικά. Adding συγγνώμη, excuse me, the sentence becomes even more polite. Συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά. Συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά. The responses you will receive could be one of these three. Ναι, yes. Ναι. Λίγο, a little. Λίγο. Όχι, δεν μιλάω αγγλικά. No, I don't speak English. Όχι, δεν μιλάω αγγλικά. Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say then or the before the verb μιλάω. Here you can also notice what we mentioned before. The personal pronoun εγώ, that is, I, is not used since the ending of the verb shows that it is the first person. Now it's time for Chris's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Greek people study other European languages, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute αγγλικά with Italica for Italian, Rossica for Russian, Hispanica for Spanish, Germanica for German. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression συγγνώμη. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Greek. It's never too late to show your good manners with Greek people. I'll see you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Γεια!
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In our last lesson, we learned how to use συγγνώμη, με συγχωρείτε, and λυπάμαι when apologizing in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn something even more practical, how to count from 1 to 10 in Greek. And we'll learn them all in 3 minutes. 3 λεπτά. Are you ready? Let's start. 1. 1. 2. 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. 6. 6. 7. 7. 8. 8. 9, 10, 10. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job! What is before ένα? Do you know? Yes, it's 0. In Greek, it's μηδέν. Μηδέν. So now, you can count pretty much anything and do other useful stuff like giving your friends your cell phone number and writing down theirs. Let's see how to do that in Greek. We'll use the phrase ο αριθμός μου είναι, which means my number is. Ο αριθμός μου είναι. Ο αριθμός μου είναι 6, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. Can you read it by yourself? 6, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. Okay? Great! Now it's time for Chrissy's insights. Like most words in Greek, numbers are gender sensitive. The numbers we learn today are used when counting neuter objects. The masculine and feminine numbers are almost the same, but with slight differences for the numbers 1 through 4. We won't get into this for now, since with the neuter numbers, you can do most things. Even if you use the wrong gender, Greeks will understand you. Do you know the Greek word for 100? If you don't worry. In the next lesson, we are going to learn the numbers from 11 to 100 in Greek. Your task now is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Είστε έτοιμοι? Are you ready? Ξεκινάμε, so let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word, ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ means thanks. When saying thanks very much, you just need to add πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Πολύ means a lot, so ευχαριστώ πολύ is like saying thanks very much. During the last lesson, we talked about both the informal and the formal way of speaking Greek. Ευχαριστώ is a casual way to thank someone. If you want to be more formal, there is another phrase you should use. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Let's break this phrase down. The σε or σας before ευχαριστώ πολύ literally means you in the second person singular and the second person plural, which is the form used for being formal in Greek. In the plain ευχαριστώ there is no you included, but here we use it and make the phrase sound more polite. Depending on the formality of the situation, we will use σε or σας. How do you answer? It's easy. There are basically two different ways to do it. The first is τίποτα. 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 Τίποτα literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. The other way to say you're welcome is the expression παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ. Literally, this phrase means I beg or please, but it has become a common and polite way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone says ευχαριστώ to you, we can simply reply with τίποτα or παρακαλώ. Now it's time for Chris's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use ευχαριστώ or σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Ευχαριστώ can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. Do you know what addio means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and other greetings in Greek. Addio και ευχαριστώ. Ραντεβού στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the Word Bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools.